This has happened since our last video in April. It's been a long time and a lot of things have really moved on. I'll show you around. Look at these apples. The apple tree this year is going like crazy. Sure, a lot of these will drop off, but there's going to be a lot of apples.
We might need to thin them a bit. You know, a lot of people take some off when they're young because otherwise you get lots of small apples as opposed to fewer bigger ones. But you know, it seems odd to pull too many off, so we don't tend to.
And then I'm really excited about this bit. This is the arch that we built. We built it this winter, and I've got sweet peas growing up it. You can see these have got flowers already. And then we've got on each side, we've got two winter squash, uchiki curry. They're quite small and they're not looking at their best, but I'm hoping that they'll pick up. We've had quite a bit of cold weather now, quite a bit of warm weather, and quite a bit of rain. So I'm hoping in the next few days they'll pick up and they'll grow up here with the sweet peas and it'll look really lush. And also, another thing that I'm really excited about is these are parsnips, and I have never grown parsnips before. I thought they were really difficult to germinate. And there they are. I need to thin them out, but look how many. They have all germinated, and that's amazing. And I've got a few strawberries in between here. Can't see. The potatoes are doing really well. Look how big they are. They are first early potatoes, and I think we're going to try and dig them up later and see whether they're ready or not. 25 seed potatoes in here in 2 rows. Hiya. And we've got in between us, in a bit of an experiment, we had salad crops, because when the potato leaves are smaller, we were harvesting salad. See the dill sticking out. You can maybe just about see some lettuce in there. That's now really, we need to take that out because that's not getting enough light.
It's getting well overtopped. It's just these potatoes have really grown in the last week since this spell of rain. Before that, they weren't. The salad crops weren't overtopped like they are now.
Exactly. The beans here, they are borlotti beans, and they were tiny when we put them in. They're still not growing massively, and it's the first time growing them, so I'm not really sure what they're going to be like, and the colour's not ideal, but I've still got hopes for them, and I'm hoping they'll come. I've got them on a nice teepee structure, so hopefully it'll look really pretty when they come up and they flower. What doesn't look so pretty, unfortunately, is our brassica cage. This contraption we built to stop the pigeons, and it's worked. It has stopped the pigeons, so we've got broccoli in here, maybe a little bit of cauliflower, a little bit squashed. I don't know what we're going to do about the cabbage white fly. I don't normally grow brassicas, so I don't really want to net it. I think it looks ugly as it is, but let's see how we get on. We might get away with it, or we might not, and in which case we'll just lose the crop. But it is what it is. And then look at these peas.
Yeah, amazing. So
Look
tall.
How tall they are. They are taller than me. If you remember in the last video, we'd put the structure up, 2 bits of timber on each side, 1 on each row, so we've got 2 double rows here, and then I've put bits of netting all between each bit of timber, so that I've got something to hold on to, and they've grown really well, and they've got beautiful flowers, and they've got nice pea pods. Let me find one.
Yeah, that's just starting to crop now. There's a little one here, but there's loads more that are bigger.
Nice big ones here, look at that. Well, they're actually quite small. They're really sweet.
They're coming, super sweet.
Really nice.
We'll start picking in earnest over the next week or so.
So really nice, really pretty. I'm really pleased with that. And it provides also some good shelter along with the hedge. And this, it provides some good shelter to, for example, our tomatoes here. We have tomatoes in the greenhouse, and I wouldn't normally have put tomatoes outside, but we germinated quite a lot and they all came up and they all looked healthy, so I've put them outside. They're quite small. I'm not sure how well they'll do. They're sheltered here, but it's not super sunny. And I think whatever tomatoes we get here is going to be a bonus because we've got enough in the greenhouse.
And now beans, we planted these, didn't we, just what, a couple of weeks ago now, and they're starting to romp away. Now we've had some rain at last.
They got nicely attached to the bamboo frame. Got 2 per cane, so 16 in total from our home safe seed, and they're doing okay. They have got a little bit eaten. You can see a little bit of leaf damage at the bottom. The last week of wet weather we've had has brought out some slugs, even though with no dig, with using cow manure and compost on top, we don't get generally many slugs. But we'll see. I think they'll be absolutely fine. They're looking good, and they'll just rump away. And in a month's time, hopefully we'll do the next video a little bit sooner. In a month's time, they'll be up here and they'll look pretty. They should have red and white flowers, so that'll look nice. And these are what I call the pretty peas. They're edible peas, and I've put them on these hazel sticks, and they've got these amazing pink and white flowers that have just flowered so abundantly. It's really pretty to see, actually. I don't know what they'll be like. They're obviously not as tall as the tall peas earlier, but they're reasonably tall. And I'm just really pleased that it's worked out with peas, because in previous years peas haven't always worked out, which is good. And then behind here we've got a little bit of salad crop. That's rocket. It's going to flower. We put it in March, and it's not been as good as it normally is in the spring. I'm not entirely sure why, but we've been picking it and adding it to salads. And then what I want to show you is a third variety of peas. I've decided to go crazy for peas this year, and I've got tall peas, short peas, and these short peas and the pretty peas. And these are about 1 foot tall. They don't need any support, just put one little hazel stick in. Got nice little white flowers. They didn't do very well in the beginning. I'm not really sure why, because these did quite well, but these never really took off. But they're doing quite well now. They've got little pea pods that are ready for picking. Like that. Open them up, and you get little peas. So it's nice. We've got 2 little patches of those, one at the front, and it's just a little bit of extra. They're quite nice to just pick and eat, snack on as you're doing your bits and bobs in the garden. Overwintered broad beans here, put them in last winter. Have flopped a bit, but we have cropped quite a bit already, and there's still more to come. Pods are about this size, which is just about right. Nice big beans, but not too big. And then in between the rest of this bed, we've got a couple of tomatoes, got a cucumber and 2 courgettes, and this is just a bit of a bed of odds and sods that we had left over. So as soon as we cleared the ground here, which was Swiss chard and spinach, you might remember from the previous video, we've put these guys in. And what hasn't done so well this year is the carrots. I planted these 3 rows of these carrots in March. We've watered them, we've looked after them, it's been quite fine compost, and they've hardly taken off. I don't really know why. We have little clusters and then nothing. So I've not got high hopes. I don't think they'll turn into anything, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Is there a bit more dill at the front here?
Oh yeah, it's just a row of dill. I'm trying to interplant with things where I can to get a bit of a quick crop.
And then our big strawberry bed next.
Yes, the strawberries are just amazing.
Although they're old, aren't they? And they're getting a bit gappy, and we're kind of thinking about perhaps taking some out because, well, if they're cropped like they did last year, we end up with a freezer full of strawberries and making jam for a month.
Yeah.
So we're thinking of perhaps, as you say, taking some out and having a bit of variety.
Yeah, well, it's a massive bed, as you can see, and it's lovely, but we felt under quite a lot of pressure last year to pick them because they don't last as long as the supermarket varieties. So once they're there, you want to pick them, you don't want to waste them. And it was really lovely making jam in February this year and having all the nice smelts of strawberry. I can see 2 red strawberries here already. We haven't picked any of these, and they've still got flowers. And look at these.
Some hiding.
They're hiding in here.
Yeah. And when we say making jam in February, of course we picked the strawberries in June, July, but then froze them. And for making jam, it's fine to use frozen strawberries.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've got one nice strawberry there. It's not quite ready. It's a bit white on the underside. But this one here is a bit manky.
Oh, yeah.
It's been eaten by
woodlice, perhaps?
Woodlice. Yeah, unfortunately we get woodlice in the strawberries. We get little weeds here as well. Little weeds like that just sneak in. In addition to no dig and not disturbing the soil, we'll also try and garden wildlife friendly. So we have things like foxgloves that are just popping up everywhere. We've got Phacelia. We've got a wildlife pond.
Bees love the Phacelia, of course. And oh, here we go. As if to demonstrate. I think this might be a tree bee, possibly. Non-native, come up from France. But a number of different bee species on Phacelia. They absolutely love it.
We also have a lot of these guys, ladybirds.
Oh yeah.
See them everywhere popping up now, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And we have a resident frog in our pond. Luckily, with this nice rain we've had recently, the pond's filled up. Can you see him? He's just.
Let's see if we can see him. Yeah. Can you see him? There he is. Hello, Mr. Frog. Yeah, actually, the pond's filled up nicely. It was kind of 3 or 4 inches below this level until about a week ago, after all that dry weather we had in April and May. And the meadow's coming, isn't it, Eva? You can see we've got the oxeye daisies, a variety of different grass species. We expect cornflowers and poppies and all sorts to come in here, just like they did last year.
It was really pretty last year.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And I'll take you into the greenhouse now.
Sure.
The greenhouse looks really lovely this year. I'm really pleased with it. If you remember previously, we've got 3 permanent things in the greenhouse. We've got the fan apricot tree, which is doing really well. It's growing lots. We have a kiwi at the back, which is this. It's got lovely, soft, big leaves. And we have the grapevine on the other corner, and that's now going along the top of the roof, which is also really, really lovely.
Growing really fast at the moment. In fact, all these perennials are really shooting up.
They are, and it's been great in here actually, because we've had warm enough weather. It's been sheltered, it's been really nice. And then we have tomatoes on the left, different varieties, interplanted with basil.
Basil's looking nice and healthy now. Yeah. Tomatoes.
On the other side, we have cucumbers.
Yeah.
Some pickling cucumbers, some eating cucumbers, and again interplanted with a few cosmos, etc.
And of course, these cucumbers are now producing fruit, having flowered. You can see the little baby cukes coming. Nothing on the tomatoes yet by way of fruit, but
Got flowers.
They're not far off. Yeah, flowering nicely. Yeah.
And then what I'll show you, which is a little bit exciting, if not a little bit late, come a bit closer, are these watermelon. We had nine seeds. They all germinated, and then they didn't grow, and then they slowly died one after the other, and we're left with 3. Haven't grown very much, and I can't imagine that this plant will grow into a plant big enough to produce a watermelon. But yeah, it's perked up in the last 2 weeks. It's really perked up. It started growing. So who knows, if it gets any bigger, I'll probably stick it in the ground and just see what happens.
In the ground, in the greenhouse, of course.
In the greenhouse,
not
of
outside.
course. Yeah, watermelon needs hot climates.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so this is now the more kind of perennial section of the garden. Got raspberries at the back. I've built some nice little supports for them. We've got comfrey at the front, so I recently made some comfrey fertiliser, and I added to the compost bin as well. The bees absolutely love it. This bit here is the asparagus. Still in its 2nd year, so we can't pick it, but you can see it's growing. Not all of it, but a lot of it is growing. Again, I've made some supports here to keep it up in the high winds. It suffered a little bit. And then these are the hugel beds, and they've got all sorts of things here. So we've got more comfrey, we've got a cherry tree, we've got some perennial brassicas. We've got this perennial cauliflower, which was really nice, but is now obviously gone to seed. Behind is the perennial kale. So the leaves are, you can see the pigeons been eating the leaves. They land on top and eat the leaves, but there is some leaves that they haven't eaten, so that's like spring greens. Some shrubs. Fruit shrubs, and also blackberries at the back. So there's quite a lot going on here. I'm trying to kind of mix it all up so that there's things that attract the bees and other insects. There's things that have got deep tap roots. There's a tree layer. We've got another cherry tree here and an apple a bit further down. This ground cover, all sorts of things. These are maybe worth pointing out. These are perennial onions, and I've got 3 varieties in here. I've got Welsh onion, Babington leek, and another variety, and I always have to look this up in the book, and I didn't label them, so I got a little bit mixed up what is what, and I'm now not sure entirely what I'm doing, but yeah, they look pretty, and they're edible. Perennial, which means you plant them once and that's it.
Is this borage?
This is borage at the front, yes.
Yeah, bees liking that as well.
The
yeah,
bees
there's another
like
one.
that as well. It's got these pretty blue flowers.
There we go. This is right on cue.
Yeah, so in here all sorts of things are mixed together in this hugel bed. Got some herbs, some sage, some comfrey. We've got some salads that I've just interplanted because there was a little bit of space and they needed to go somewhere. Herbs like fennel, some more ladybirds in there, and a ladybird larvae actually here. That'd be nice. Oh, 2 new ladybirds. Fantastic. So I'm really pleased with this. So much variety and so many different things.
Some chard just here that's left over. We had lots and lots of Swiss chard to eat earlier in the spring.
And this is actually overwintered from the year before.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it and see what happens, whether it survives next winter. More blackberries, and these are perennial sunflowers.
Interesting.
There's loads of them growing together, and they will have really amazing little sunflowers later on in the year. They were really pretty last year, and I'm trying to grow as many perennial things as I can, as this will do well in this northern climate, because they're really easy maintenance. And you don't have to do anything, just look after them, and they come every year.
Cool. Oh, some wild strawberries down there. And we've got lots of those on the front bed. Perhaps we could look at that now.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we'll have a look at this. This is our garlic.
Yeah.
Overwintered garlic. It doesn't look so good. It's looking a bit rusty.
It's starting to yellow a bit. We're just wondering whether now's the time to pick it. People are saying that mid to late June is a good time to pick. So we'll perhaps have a look at that a bit later and see the size of the bulbs.
I think so. It's worth taking one out later and having a look. And in between the garlic, we have what they call perennial spinach. Now, I'm not entirely sure about this one. It's called Hablitzia tamnoides spinach. It hasn't grown as much as it said it should grow. I've made this big structure for it and it's not growing anywhere near it. So I don't know whether it's just not liking the soil or what, but I'm hoping if it does take off that it will provide us with a spinach-like green all year round.
Cool. So yeah, thornless blackberry trailed along the fence.
Yeah.
There. Our rhubarb patch. The rhubarb is looking much happier now we've had a bit of rain. Nowhere near as productive as last year because of I think mainly because of the very dry April, May that we had. Not complaining, we've got nice tans, but the rhubarb didn't like it.
And last but not least...
oh yeah, check out all them wild strawberries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get picking, don't we?
We do. Pick after this really, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
This is a bit of a tree girl around this plum tree. A tree girl has lots of different components with a centrepiece, in this case the plum, and there's lots of things growing around it that kind of work together. So we've got some herbs to repel pests. We've got things like this comfrey here, which I've chopped down recently, and so it doesn't look like much, but that's providing nutrition deep from the ground. There's some prickly flowers, there's some shrubs, there's various other edibles. We've got this, it's a mix between a gooseberry and another berry, so it'll produce sort of gooseberry-like.
It's not a loganberry then, no, something else.
It could be a loganberry actually.
Yeah,
I'll have to check, I'm not entirely sure.
And then of course the rosemary bush.
Rosemary bush, there is some...
putting on new growth now. Yeah.
And then the willow at the front. The willow's growing better this year. We're hoping to have a bit of a willow fence at the front.
Yeah, we literally just cut a few sticks off willow trees from a friend's woodland and
Pop them in.
put them in the ground, and they didn't all grow, but a lot of them did, and of course now they're really taking off.
Yeah.
Interestingly, on the right hand side here where Eva is now, it grew really well. On this left side, much less so, and in fact we had to replant this end. It was a bit of a mystery as to why, but they are now coming. Yeah, so with a bit of patience and a bit of beat up, as foresters call it, we're going to end up with a nice kind of willow hedge that will possibly sculpture into something interesting, or possibly just leave as kind of a horizontally levelled hedge, kind of 3 foot high. And
that's it, folks. That is the update for June from our allotment garden. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, then just wait for our next one.